that in fact, the Office of the Inspector General in the city charter has the power to conduct criminal investigations. It is a criminal law enforcement agency as that term is defined legally. And therefore, under Georgia's banking laws, the Office of the Inspector General absolutely had the authority to issue these financial subpoenas without tipping off the people who were being investigated. That is the very nature of a criminal investigation. The Supreme Court from the mafia days has long held that criminal justice organizations may subpoena financial records without tipping off those who are being investigated. Indeed, that is the whole point. I'm proud to be representing the Office of the Inspector General. I'm proud to be offering her and the office this legal defense, and I'm proud to be standing beside the other individuals here with us today to do so. I'll yield the floor. Thank you.
Okay, this individual standing next to me needs no introduction to many of you. She is the former president of the Atlanta City Council, Felicia Moore.
Okay, I need a mic. Good cold morning. We're gonna get this done quickly. I'm glad I wrote my comments out because I have so much to say about this issue that I'm very, very passionate about. I stand here today in support of the Office of the Inspector General and for it to have its authority to investigate and report waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption. Its goal is to work with and on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, its employees, elected officials, appointed officials, and vendors who do business with the city. The current City Council President, Doug Shipman, at a recent Finance Executive Committee made a comment that I and others have been scratching our heads to answer. What are we trying to fix? The latest headlines pointing to what needs to be fixed is related to 40 subpoenas for information in personal and bank records that was received without notifying the account holders. I'll only make a point off of my record 40 times. So if banks complied 40 times and the office issued them 40 times, that should tell you something as well. But as a member of the public, you know what? I would definitely be mad that I was the subject of an investigation and that my bank records were accessed without my knowledge if it was done improperly. And that's a big if it was done improperly. So I would do what others are doing, and that is appeal to a court for a remedy. And so for me, I will wait, like others, to see what a judge decides on this issue. The theme of what I have to say is about accountability. It's already been mentioned about the cease and desist letter that was sent to the IG. I saw immediately the IG respond and acknowledge the letter and make immediate changes to how the OIG would handle these in the future. What I saw was an official who took accountability. While the issue made numerous headlines and lead stories prior to that, there was an open letter sent from the IG to the city attorney. It received little mention or was totally ignored by the media. This letter is important to be responded to because it answers the question, what are we trying to fix? Sorry, I have marked out a lot that I'm not going to say today because I want to get to the point. So after months of observing numerous meetings and numerous articles, the IG has been consistent in saying that several administration statements were misleading and not true. While coming to the same conclusion as the IG, I watched with great sadness the administration continuing to spread false narratives to the point where they have used the unions and other employees as what I call human shields to allow them to advance, them being the administration and some council members' goal of putting up guardrails on the IG's office, which ultimately weakens its authority and independence. Excuse me, this cold weather's getting to my eyes. On January 17th, following a Finance Executive Committee meeting, the city posted a video that culminated with several statements made by the city attorney. The OIG quickly responded with an open letter. After receiving the open letter from the IG, the city took the post down. I must say, after seeing the video and reading the OIG open letter, I didn't realize that the gaslighting was much worse than initially suspected. Reading the OIG's open letter to the city attorney, it took me to another level of disdain for the process that I've been seeing used to weaken the OIG's authority and independence. Since my theme is accountability, I'm asking today for a response and accountability from the mayor, the city attorney, and other administration and elected officials. Respond to the open letter from the IG so we, the public, can have a true picture of what we are trying to fix. And I'm asking the media, all y'all, help by reporting on the answers from the administration to these following questions. The OIG open letter states that there has never been any personal phones or other items asked for or received from employees in the OIG's 4 years of operation. Is the statement from the IG true or false? If false, produce receipts. I've heard an administration narrative that suggests that the 2 employee home visits and the OIG seizing of personal and or city property happened concurrently. Is this true or false? The letter stated that in over 100 interviews conducted by the OIG, there were only 2 interviews with a visit to the home. Is this true or false? Produce receipts. There were 2 employees subject to termination that complained to the OIG. Both of these employees informed the OIG that the evidence supporting their complaint could be found on their city equipment. In one instance, the employee gave their equipment to the OIG, and the OIG gave them a receipt so that they could take it to HR when they were terminated. The other employee equipment was seized by, if you want to call it seized, OIG from HR. And these were returned in 30 days. It's been made to seem like they take equipment and they hold it forever, but that seems reasonable to me. And finally, well, I think I had another question. I cut that one out, but I'll just give you a few to ask. So here's my, finally, beyond the letter. As a member of the public and a former elected official, I would like to know who is accountable for the violation of the provisions of our charter to this moment. The OIG's office is to have complete and immediate access to any city records as a matter of their investigation. My attention was piqued in May of 2024 when I happened across the IG speaking to the council during public comment, stating that her office has been obstructed from receiving access to city information as authorized by our charter. This is something that has not been addressed or fixed. And the proposed legislation makes it worse. I have asked, and I will ask again, do our city officials know they have been in violation of our charter. And in my final ask for accountability, please respond if you know that you have been in violation. And if so, please issue justification. And if they don't know, they have been duly informed. Thank you.
The next individual is the immediate past chair of the governing board for the Office of the Inspector General and the Ethics Office. She is Nicola Hines, Hines.
All right. Good morning and thank you all for being here today. As stated, my name is Nicola Hines. I am the former chair for the governing board of the Office of the Inspector General and Ethics Office. The Office of the Inspector General was created to bring real accountability, transparency, and ethical governance and oversight to Atlanta's government. It was established in 2020 in response to a history of corruption, fraud, and abuse that had cost the city not only financially, but in public trust. Atlanta had the opportunity to set a new standard, one where independent oversight could prevent misconduct before it took root, ensuring that the city government worked for the people, not personal or political gain. From its inception, the OIG was meant to be independent, insulated from political interference, and empowered to do the job it was designed to do: investigate wrongdoing, expose waste, uphold integrity of the Atlanta government. But instead of protecting and strengthening this office, we have watched its authority and independence systematically chipped away. The very office that was created to prevent corruption is now being undermined by the very powers it was meant to hold accountable. If anyone needs a reminder of why this office mattered, look no further than cases like the former CFO, Jimmy Beard, where ethical lapses and criminal misconduct were allowed to continue unchecked for far too long. This is why an independent and fully empowered Inspector General is essential. But rather than strengthening this office, the administration and some members of this council have worked tirelessly to strip it down, dilute its independence, and control its leadership. Let's be clear, this is not about one piece of legislation. This is a pattern of behavior. Instead of addressing real concerns, like repeating roadblocks placed in front of the Office of Inspector General to prevent it from, preventing roadblocks placed in front of the Office of Inspector General to prevent it from carrying out its work, the administration has chosen to redirect the conversation, shape the narrative through selective influence, and deflect the course issue at hand. Rather than engaging in honest discussion about the independence of the OIG, there has been a concerted effort to influence internal voices and leverage external organizations that should be standing up for strong oversight and good governance. Instead of focusing on the actual threats to accountability and transparency, we have seen silence from some and misplaced attentions from others, shifting the debate away from the very real and pressing concerns about ethical governance in Atlanta. The focus should be on ensuring that this office remains independent and effective, not on protecting political interests or avoiding difficult but necessary conversations. This administration is blinded by ego, so focused on immediate political satisfaction that they are failing to consider the long-term consequences of their actions. The question we must ask ourselves is this: do they even want an Office of Inspector General beyond a name of an office? Or is the goal to weaken it, control it, and make sure it never has the ability to truly function as intended as the Charter states? I stand here today deeply disappointed, not just as the former chair of this board, but as someone who's lived in the city for 12 years and has served the city for 8.5 years. 3 of those half years, I have been working on making the Office of the Inspector General stronger, independent, and a model for the rest of this country. Atlanta had the chance to be the gold standard when it comes to the Office of Inspector General. This office is the newest Inspector General office in the country. There are only 13 others like it. And Atlanta could have been the shining example, a beacon of how cities can hold themselves accountable. But instead, we are watching its independence being chipped away piece by piece. What could have been a model of transparency and ethical governance is being reduced to a shell of what it was meant to be. Atlanta deserves better. The people of the city deserves better. And I sincerely hope that those in power choose to do what is right today. Not for themselves, not for their political legacies, but the integrity of the city and the future of this office. I believe that's all I have to say. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next individual that I'd like to introduce you to is Don Penovi, P-E-N-O-V-I. Mr. Penovi was on the original task force, the task force for the public trust. He was very instrumental in the formation of this office, he and that task force. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Penovi.
Good morning, everybody. As mentioned, my name's Don Penovi, and I was the vice chair of the Committee on the Promotion of Public Trust. And of course, that was created to go into the idea of creating the Inspector General's office after what happened with Mayor Reed's office, with all the corruption there. And now, we got it right, and now they want to change this whole process. We couldn't have been that wrong where they wanted to change everything and make the mayor run this whole IG's office. That's just nuts. He is pushing this smear campaign on her, and I think this is completely wrong. And I'm not sure why he wants to do this. It's not a good look for Atlanta. Inspector Generals today do not seem to be in vogue, and that is wrong. The news cycle is fast, and the mayor's trying to promote the narrative that he wants to promote, and it's not even, some of the stuff he brought forward before was just a smear campaign against the Inspector General's office, and I'm not sure what his motive is to do this, but he's having his minions do this, and I just think it's completely inappropriate to try to control the Inspector General's office. Thank you very much.
Okay. The next individual needs no introduction. She is Shannon Manigault, the Inspector General for the City of Atlanta, Office of the Inspector General. I'm from LA.
Welcome to sunny and warm Los Angeles. Right. Thank you all for being here. For the last several months, the City of Atlanta Office of the Inspector General and I have been subjected to threats, bullying, intimidation, and harassment at the hands of people who have been the subjects of our investigations. Pure and simple, it's retaliation. The attacks have been systematic, sustained, and savage. As we have uncovered more corruption, once again, at the highest rungs of City Hall, the attacks have gotten worse. Now, you've heard a little bit about our office. As James Radford said, our job is to identify fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption to serve this city. And that's exactly what we have done. We reported it to you, the public, because transparency and accountability matter. That's what it is to have an Office of Inspector General. Through our work, we've been able to protect city employees who've been victimized by abuses by city leaders. Through our work, we've been able to call out favoritism and collusion in procurement to help level the playing field for city vendors, not just the special few, but for all city vendors. Through our work, we've identified bribery so that you residents and small business owners don't have to pay a toll for the city services that you're already paying for with your taxpayer dollars. You, the public, have appreciated our work. You've recognized the care and professionalism and detail of our reports. I am so incredibly proud of the work that's been done by the dedicated professionals of the OIG team, many of whom are behind me now. This team has worked tirelessly for the City of Atlanta, and I couldn't be happier to stand on their record and their efforts. But however much the people of the city of Atlanta want us to be here and want us to be doing our job, city leadership has made it crystal clear. For them, a real, functioning, effective Office of Inspector General is not welcome in Atlanta. They claim to stand with OIG, but quite clearly, their actions speak louder than their words. On our end, we present facts. They tell falsehoods about our operations. We detail findings, and they try to undermine our credibility. We make recommendations to address vulnerabilities. They ignore those and attack our character. We talk about industry standards and best practices, and they insist on guardrails for a train that has only ever stayed on the tracks. None of this is lost on the people who are actually paying attention. The public isn't fooled. The public recognizes an assault on government oversight when it sees it. And the public has every right to ask the obvious question: why? Why the unrelenting effort to hurt an office that's here to identify wrongdoing for the benefit of the city? We've watched for months as these city leaders have proposed legislation to weaken the office, while they've attempted to demean the staff of the office, and as they've tried to ruin my professional reputation. Now, a little about me. Some of you have gotten to know me. When Atlanta, as Don Panovi said, decided 5 years ago that it needed an IG, the city had reached out to me. I wasn't looking, I was in New York. But I was so excited to come here and bring this IG function to benefit the city of Atlanta. I love this work. And to be able to bring this here to serve the people, what an opportunity. Those of you who have gotten to know me know that I'm a little bit of a nerd, right? I love learning about IG work. And so taking that experience, not just based on what I knew from New York, but wanting to build on it to make sure that this office could be the best that it could be. So that means studying what's happening in other cities and other counties, seeing what operations they have, what their policies and procedures are, what their legislation looks like, so that the City of Atlanta Office of Inspector General could be the best that it could be. I've cared so much and tried so hard so that I could best serve my new city. And until last year, I have absolutely loved this job. Now, it hasn't been easy. The people behind me can attest to the fact that it has not been easy, but I've loved it. I've loved the challenge of it. I've loved connecting with city employees and city stakeholders. Ultimately, I've loved serving this city. The legislation that everyone's been talking about that's going to be voted on today is going to destroy the office. I'm not going to mince words about that. It is going to destroy the office. I know it, you know it, and they know it. But if the discussion surrounding the office had stayed at the level of policy, and certainly if that discussion had involved a real review of how offices of Inspector General work, that would have been okay. But things have taken a turn. 2 weeks ago, the abuse that I've been routinely subjected to was then extended to my family. And that is not okay. Now, a multi-pronged attack on an organization and its leader, it's not new around here. For those who've been paying attention, it should have a oddly, sadly familiar ring to it. For our office, that attack has most recently involved subpoenas and lawsuits. As James Bradford said, Those claims will be defended. I just want to be clear. That's not why I'm here today. This isn't about the merits of any lawsuit. And I use merits there very loosely. As James noted, the lawsuit claims will be defended, and truly, thank goodness for board-approved James Bradford. The whole reason the City of Atlanta Office of Inspector General, like any Office of Inspector General, needs an attorney of its own is to protect against potential conflicts of interest. Glaring, obvious, don't need to be a lawyer to recognize it, conflicts of interest. You know, like the ones where the attorney who's supposed to protect the office ends up being the same attorney who attacks the office. You know, like where the same lawyer who's supposed to represent the office is the person who makes a video misrepresenting the office and our work. Now, some of you heard and some of you reported on the fact that I took some days off. No, it was not because I was put on any leave. It's because I needed to take some time. I needed to take some time to step away and reflect and come to grips with everything that these people have been doing to me. And that's how I've come to the incredibly difficult decision to resign as Inspector General of the City of Atlanta. I hate that it's come to this. For the members of the public, including so many, those who are behind me and those who are out there who supported this office, for all the employees we've tried to help, please know that I have done everything in my power to fight for the office so that we could continue to serve you. I wish that there was more that I could do, but ultimately, I can't make the leadership of this city do right by the public. All I can do is try to make sure that the serious allegations that you all have entrusted the OIG do not die with me or with the imminent death by legislation of our office. OIG has open, active investigations, serious investigations that after today, because of the proposed legislation, we may not be able to pursue. Which means that ultimately the fate of the office now rests in your hands, the hands of the public. I've always fought for this office and for the good that it brings this city. And I'm going to continue to do so, but now just as a member of the public. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for coming today and for covering the successes and the challenges that the Office of the Inspector General has had over the past 2 or 3 years. We will not take any questions at this time. The press conference is now ended. Thank you so much.
Explain the targeting of your family. Can you explain what that means? Yeah.
There will be no questions, but thank you.
So you can provide no insight on that? Okay. Kidara, do you have that folder?
Okay, I'm walking.
I do have copies of some correspondence that we issued to the city attorney's office if anyone would like a copy. And I've got gloves on, so I got 10 copies here. So.